Speaking of things that we can pass on, what is your vice?
My vice. So initially, I thought maybe it was alcohol, which I actually don't drink very much of, but you and I spoke earlier about this, and it was one of those things that because I have two alcoholic parents, I could easily see myself losing myself with it, but it was never a vice of mine. And then I thought maybe it was sex.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, no, it's not sex either. I realized it's actually my physical body.
Ooh, okay.
Yes. Being in the fitness and health industry, um, it's challenging. I get addicted to obsessing about my body. I really do, and that is my vice. It is the, working out and the obsession about my weight and size and this and that. That is my vice. Yeah. So it's interesting that something that promotes health and wellness can promote toxicity at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's two sides of that same coin. And that boils down to, I mean, that's not with everybody. It's not with everybody.
Certainly, it can be
Yeah.
someone else's medicine.
Exactly.
To be fair,
100%. For me, it boils down to experiences I had as a child being bullied, and it was, I had a lot of trauma around the way I looked, growing up. And ironically, I look back at pictures of myself and I literally look exactly the same. Maybe I just had some chubbier cheeks or whatever, but kids can be fucking assholes.
yes.
I'm just going to put it out there. They can be assholes. And I was the target for so much. And so it created a lot of body image issues.
Mm-hmm.
And why I got into fitness and health and wellness, ironically, had nothing to do with my body image issues. It actually had to do with family, seeing my family members unhealthy and unhappy and struggling with their own health and wellness. But then as I started to dive into the health and wellness industry, that triggered my memories and all the traumas that I had been through as a child, being bullied and harassed and teased and this and that. And then it became kind of like this thing, and that's where my perfectionism, came through. And so I would have to say that is my vice. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. That's not my
Yeah.
vice, but I
That is
totally get
mine.
that.
Yeah.
So I grew up dancing. I danced my whole life. I majored in dance in college. Um, my university, now I feel weird disclosing
Oh.
because now I'm going to tell you some incriminating stuff about them. But my university our dance program would do fat circles
Wow.
and say, if you want to be competitive in that field, you need to lose this fat and that fat and that fat. I have this memory of the most beautiful girl I've ever seen, like, senior in college. I Now I don't even want to tell you her description because it would be very obvious. But she came into the locker room crying and she's telling me about this experience. I'm like, they wanted to change you?
Yeah.
What could they possibly change? Like, you are perfect. Oh my gosh. I was far from perfect. I had like the thick Italian thighs and like I was I was hot. I was different body than I have presently. Although I very much like this body. But yeah, the feedback with me was like, don't even bother. Like your thighs are wrong, everything's wrong. So it's funny for me to get picked up by a dance company a couple years after college, after I'd even stopped dancing because my confidence was broken.
Yeah.
And I was typecast for the thick thighs and all the things that were wrong. But I was already in personal training at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I finally hopped into the bodybuilding field, it was already, I was on that downhill slope in my marriage of things have gotten as bad as they're going to be. And I took intuitive guidance to go to Nepal.
Mm-hmm.
I had a month away from home to just remember who I was, to feel my own energy and not have it being infiltrated by like status quo life at home. And I came home, I immediately hired a trainer. We talked about meal plans and macros, and like I was training super hard. I ended up 4 months later competing in a fitness showcase, a bodybuilding show, competed bikini. I did not win, but I got so healthy and so focused on myself. So I got healthy. And then, like, there's a certain point where it's sport. So not always in your sport are you doing something that's healthy.
Correct.
Sometimes you're doing it because the competition depends on it and you need to push your limits. So that was for a time. And even though it was very rigorous, I had a great experience. I got to learn what I like on my body, what I don't like on my body. I'll never compete again because I don't like the process. I don't like the effect it has on my mental health. I don't like being that skinny. But that was valuable learning. And I think there was a lot of value from that. But the place where it ropes into my vice is control. So when we talk about codependency, and I teach the course on codependency, it's because I had to recover from it. So it made me really good at it.
You're speaking to the choir.
Yeah. And so codependents are known for doing everything not in their power, because it doesn't ever actually work, to control situations
and others without realizing it.
Yes. And we do this out of fear, where the distraction is the other people, the other situations, where the only place that we have any jurisdiction is like on this thing and how we respond to things, and gaining control, like mentaling this wild mind that we have, and changing our mindsets and soothing our nervous system so that we're able to genuinely cope with whatever life throws at us, because we're never going to know what's coming down the pike. You can live the most mundane life ever and still have things come down the pike that you never expected. So control was my vice. And so I've worked hard on wrangling that.
Oh, yes, control. Oh, I resonate with that so deeply. Yeah. But what it also boils down to is fear of rejection.
Yeah.
Fear of not being loved. There's so much fear, at least in my experience, of that fear of not being accepted. Is really so much of what it boils down to, at least in my experience. Yeah.
Do you want to draw another card, or do you want to pet Rizzo?
Can I do both at the same time?
Yeah, of course. If she lets you. She's not.